Not all horror comes from ghosts. Sometimes the scariest things are real people. Tonight, I'm sharing 6 ultra-real horror stories based on situations that could happen to any of us. Late night shifts, empty streets, fake helpers. And the moment you realize something is very, very wrong. Before we begin, turn off the lights or keep them on. I won't judge. Like the video. Subscribe if you want more realistic horror, alright? Let's get into story 1. I was hunting the dollar bin for a picture frame, the kind with glass that smudges if you breathe on it, when the woman's cart clipped my hip. It wasn't an accident. You can tell when a hit carries the weight of a sentence. Watch it, she said, not looking at me. She wore a cream tracksuit that whispered when she walked and sneakers bright as dental work. Her ponytail was severe. Gold hoops bigger than the donuts my kids beg for on Sundays. She had that scent like money trying to smell like oranges. I'm good, I said, stepping aside. The Dollar Harbor on Fulton is where I make 3 paychecks stretch. Detergent, lunch bags, a toy if the week didn't chew us too hard. I'd come for one picture frame, to finally put our goofy family photo on the shelf so my boys stop asking why it's still on my phone. My older son Eli tugged my jacket. Mom, look. He held up a foam airplane, neon green. My younger one, Noor, had the same in blue. We don't buy 2 of the same on purpose anymore. It cuts one fight in half. Both? I asked, please. Noor widened his eyes. He's 4, gifted in theater. Put them in the cart, I said. Careful. We found the last frame on the end cap, the cheap wood kind painted to pretend it was walnut. I lifted it and heard the woman's cart roll back. She reached and took it out of my hands like you take a lighter from a toddler. Excuse me, I said. I kept my voice calm because my mother's ghost still tells me you can't win a fight with someone who thinks you can't afford to be heard. I saw it first, she said, holding it like it might bite. Up close I saw the nails, French tips squared, immaculate. There was a faint tick of bracelets. It was on the shelf, I said, in my hand. Do you want the display one? She asked as if she were doing charity. Oh, right. You people don't care if the corners are dinged. Eli went still. Nobody insults me around my kid without paying interest, ma'am. I said low. That's unnecessary. She smiled then, head tilted like a cat with a beetle. Where's your manager? This is a dollar store, I said, hearing the exhaustion in my own voice. The manager is also the cashier and the janitor. She looked me up and down, not seeing my face, only counting things I wasn't. Don't get uppity, she said. You should thank me for not calling security when your animals ran into my aisle. My animals are 5 and 7, I said. My hand moved before my mouth could stop it. The sound of the slap was small and private, the kind of sound the world eats. It was reflex, an old fuse burning down to something I thought I buried when I left my ex in the house that smelled like beer and apologies. For a heartbeat, she looked human, stunned. Then her expression clicked into something deadlier and more practiced. She smiled with all her teeth. Oh, honey, she said gently. You're going to regret that. I took the frame out of her hand, turned my back, and pushed the cart toward the register. My heart hammered dumbly. The cashier, Kev, glanced from me to her to the door and made the face you make when you calculate the cost of calling cops. We paid. My hands shook enough that Noor tried to hold my fingers like he used to when he was a baby. The bells over the door jangled us out into late afternoon. The sky above Fulton was one slab of gray. The breeze had that wet metal taste. The woman stood outside already like she'd skipped checkout on principle. Her SUV idled by the curb, black paint slick as coffee, the dealership plate frame still on, chrome letters for some luxury brand that loves 2 syllables in a lease. I'm so sorry about the scene, she said, bright loud to whoever on the sidewalk would listen, then dropping her voice but not her smile. I'll be seeing you. Mom? Eli whispered. We're fine, I said, and it wasn't a lie yet. In the lot, our Honda sat where we left it. Back tire now 2 flat pancakes. I stared stupid, my brain a wet match. Eli said, too gleeful. We got a flat. The way kids do when TV teaches them a new disaster. My phone had 8%. I called my neighbor Tasha because she answers on ring 1 and can fix most things with a look. You need me, she said. She lives across from us. Knows our noises, brings casseroles and jump starters like other people bring gossip. 2 flats. I said. My voice did the thing where it splits, sarcasm and panic holding hands. Kids with me. Dollar Harbor on Fulton. Tasha. Stay put. Then, you got eyes on who did it? I looked. The woman had pulled her SUV to the far corner. From that angle, a person could watch the whole lot and look like they were just answering emails. The driver's window was down. A glint of bracelets, the ponytail like a punctuation mark. I think so, I said. Don't be a hero, Tasha said. Text me a pic of her plates. The plate had a tinted cover that made my phone camera look like it needed glasses. I snapped anyway. The kids climbed into the back seat and buckled without me asking. Fear teaches quickly. The woman's SUV eased closer and stopped in the lane behind us like a slow breath. She rolled the window all the way down and called, sweet as tea. You need help? We're good, I said. Are you? She tilted her head. Her eyes were that pale winter blue I associate with expensive anything. I called a friend, I said. You should be more careful. She rested her chin on her wrist. Men are wild out here. Someone might hurt those babies. Please don't talk about my kids, I said, which is the kind of sentence I didn't know I'd need until motherhood handed me a script I never auditioned for. She smiled like we shared a joke. Then she revved once and drifted back to her corner again, where she watched, hands folded on the wheel like prayer. Tasha arrived in a minute that felt like 10 in a tan sedan that coughed twice before shutting off. She crossed the lot like a linebacker. Tasha is the kind of woman who wears steel-toe boots with a sundress because she likes to be ready to climb something or kick something. Hey, she said, get the kids in my car. Lock yours. I can't leave it, I said. You can for 5 minutes. She glanced toward the SUV. What are we doing here, Barbie? The woman didn't look at Tasha the way she'd looked at me. She didn't look at Tasha at all. T, I said. Let's just change the tire. Tasha crouched by the wheel. Both slashed, she said. Clean. Box cutter at an angle. Ain't her first rodeo. Her voice was flat like a weather report you hear and already believe. I can tow, I said. Money did math in my head and laughed. We do temporary, Tasha said. We limp it to your place. Then we get new tires from Kenny for cash and a prayer. We were halfway through the Jack and the Donut Spare when the SUV rolled up again, slower this time. As if darkness were something she could purchase on demand. She stopped with her bumper a yard from my knees. Back up, Tasha said. We're working. The woman stared at Tasha like she was a customer service rep on a recording. You know she hit me in there? She asked, all innocence. Assaulted me in public. In front of children. She touched your entitlement, Tasha said. Different charge. The woman's mouth twitched. You want to escalate? I want you to back your shiny car up before I decorate it, Tasha said. A laugh rose out of me and stopped at my teeth. The woman's smile widened, but her eyes didn't move. I like a challenge, she said. She put the SUV in park and did something with her phone. A minute later, my phone buzzed with a private number. Unknown. Should have said sorry. Okay, Tasha said softly when I showed her. We're done being polite. She stood, put both hands on the hood of the SUV, and very gently pushed. The woman blinked like nobody in her life had ever touched one of her possessions without a receipt. She reversed 3 feet. Tasha finished the donut and tightened the lug nuts in a star like my father taught me. Drive slow, she said. Light on hazard if you gotta. I got the kids into Tasha's car to follow me home. Eli whispered, is she gonna follow us? And I lied, no, because sometimes your kid needs a lie shaped like a promise. We pulled out. The SUV idled, then glided behind Tasha's sedan, 2 cars back, far enough for plausible deniability. It stayed there to the end of Fulton, through the light at the church over the bridge that rattles even when it's not windy. Not home, Tasha texted at the next stop. Loop around. Make noise, we did. Past the firehouse with the big door open like a mouth ready to shout. Past Kenny's tire shop where men sit on upside-down buckets telling the same 3 jokes. Past the corner where Auntie Lou sells mangoes from a cooler in summer. The SUV's headlights rested on my trunk lid like a hand that wouldn't stop. We turned down Maple, our block, where Mr. Ortiz waters his sidewalk like it's a plant, and the twins chalk hopscotch boards when the weather lets them. Porch lights blinked on. My motion sensor, a gift from Tasha after I moved in, caught my bumper and clicked to full brightness like a polite scream. I parked crooked on purpose, nose to the curb, blocking the SUV from following me up the narrow one-way. Tasha slid her car behind mine and got out before I did. She stood in the street with her phone in one hand and something small and mean in the other. Pepper spray, maybe. You lost? She asked the woman. The SUV purred. The woman's face glowed screen blue behind the glass. She lifted her phone and filmed us the way people film zoo animals doing a trick. "Y'all okay?" Mr. Ortiz called from his stoop, broom under one arm. He never uses the broom for anything but ceremony. "We're good," Tasha said. The kids scrambled up my steps and I got the door open and hustled them inside with that soft panic you use so they don't learn how to be scared from your posture. From the kitchen window, I watched the SUV idle. The woman rolled her window down and that bright citrus clean smell rolled out and irritably died in the cold air. She smiled at my camera like it was a friend. She took a red gas can from the passenger seat and set it on her lap like a purse. She didn't pour, she just, "Let me see it, call the cops," my brain said. "They will come in 27 minutes and shrug and say she didn't actually do the thing." Instead, I texted the block chat. Green. Within a minute, 3 doors opened. Mr. Ortiz stepped into the street with his ridiculous broom like a knight. 2 teens from the next house over came out with scooters and a look that says, "We live here too." Tasha stood exactly where a person making trouble would have to pass. The woman put the can back on the seat. She pouted like a child told the playground is closed. Then she drove away. No screech, no drama. Just gone. My camera caught the license frame again, too dark, too clever. The porch light hummed like it believes in me. I got the boys into bed. Eli asked, "Are we in trouble?" And I said, "Not with anyone who matters." My voice only cracked a little. At midnight, after Tasha fell asleep on my couch with witchy reality TV whispering, I scrolled. Her face was everywhere. Socials that looked like magazine spreads, brand partnerships, treats for dogs with names longer than our address. In one photo, her hand rested on a glossy SUV hood, same bracelets. Caption, "Be kind, it's free." I laughed into my sleeve until it wasn't funny. In the morning, when the sun made the block look harmless again, we found the lighter in the gutter. Gold, monogrammed, heavy as a coin you flip to decide someone's fate. Tasha held it with a paper towel and said, "Look at that. A souvenir." Mr. Ortiz said a prayer under his breath that sounded like cussing. I turned the lighter in my hand and understood 2 things at once. 1, I had never been the target of someone's sport before. 2, she liked the game most when it was almost. Stomping a line, letting me see the gas can, whispering you could burn. That's the horror, what might be, what could so easily. We changed both tires. Kenny charged me cash and a promise that I'd bring my famous arroz con pollo to the shop barbecue, which is his version of mercy. The block chat added a new rule. If someone types orange, porch lights stay on all night. Mr. Ortiz bought a horn and test blasted at dinner to the twins' delight. Tasha ordered motion lights for 3 houses in a row and installed them without asking, because she's a benevolent tyrant. 2 weeks later, a video hit my feed. The woman shouting at a barista, then at a parking attendant, then at a crossing guard whose only crime was wearing a reflective vest badly. The comments hissed like hot oil. "Finally caught, cancel her, jail." The internet is a mouth with a short memory. She didn't get arrested. People like her don't, not usually. But in the parking lot of the fancy grocery on Broad, a sprinkler mains burst the next week, and a river of clean, ridiculous water surged into the lane where her glossy SUV idled. The video had no sound, only her face. Surprise raw as childhood when a reality she didn't purchase hit her ankles. The water didn't care. It soaked everything without prejudice. For 30 seconds she looked small. I don't have a clean twist ending. She didn't show up at my door again. She didn't apologize. Her face still turns up on sponsored posts between weather updates and school notices. Sometimes her car idles on a different block like a thought I can't shake. Sometimes nothing happens and that's the point. The horror is waiting for a hand to tap your shoulder that never does and then never stops. Here's what I changed. I don't leave my porch light off out of superstition anymore. I tape a copy of the family photo into the cheap frame and set it on the shelf and let it get smudgy with life. When someone says "ma'am" in that bright voice like kindness turned upside down, I trust the muscles behind my no. When Eli asks if we can fly foam planes at the park, I say yes and we go and I keep my eyes up and my shoulders loose. And when a shiny car glides by, I stare it down with a face that says I have a block and a whistle and a woman in steel toe. Boots who will push your hood with both palms. If it comes to it, the frame looks good on the shelf. It cost $1 and change. It holds more weight than the wood deserves. In the picture, I'm in the middle, both boys leaning into me, motion blur at Noor's elbow because he can't stand still. Tasha in the background throwing rabbit ears behind us like a menace. Every night before bed, I touch the glass once. A ritual and a dare. And if I hear that SUV engine outside in the hush before sleep breaks, I don't stand at the window and negotiate with my fear until it grows arms. I text green. Lights come on up and down the block like a runway. The broom comes out. The kids' scooters drag lines in the street like chalk. We change the choreography, not the street. It's not justice. It's not even a win. It's enough most nights. It's a sound that isn't a lighter flicking open. It's oranges without the rot. It's the picture frame staying put. And that's how the whole block came together to stop her. Real evil doesn't always hide in the dark. Sometimes it smiles right at you. Ready for the next one? Because this next story proves that even a simple laundromat at 2 a.m. can become a hunting ground. This one is called He Said He Was Maintenance. I got the Tuesday overnight because nobody else wanted it and because I told my boss I needed the hours. Riverbend Spin Cycle sits between a shuttered nail salon and a pawn shop with a neon guitar that blinks like a dying heartbeat. After midnight, the street goes hollow. You can hear the river if the freight trains pause, just a low rush like a held breath. Text me every hour, my sister Wren said when I took the keys. You pull that gate if anything's weird. I'm not 12, I told her, which is something people say right before they do something dumb alone. She rolled her eyes, shoved a foil pan of baked ziti into my hands and said, "Take the food. You forget to eat when you get spooked." The shop smells like hot metal, bleach, and lavender sheets. The fluorescent lights hum. The tile is old and a little tacky under sneakers where someone mopped too much and not well. I keep the radio low, local station that plays old R&B and weather reports that say the same thing 3 ways. I like the rhythm of the place, the clatter of quarters, the thump of wet clothes, the little click when a dryer door catches. At 12:11 a.m., a tall guy in a paint-streaked hoodie dropped 2 contractor bags into washer number 4 and stared at the window while it churned. He never looked at me. At 12:42, a woman with headphones fell asleep sitting upright and I put a folded towel under her neck. At 1:05, the last of the regulars left, and it was me, the machines, and the fan that doesn't oscillate unless you kick it hard. That's when I noticed the triangle. Someone had stuck a perfect little triangle of dryer lint under the tip jar, dark gray, compacted like it had been shaped by patient fingers. People leave weird things all the time. Bobby pins, screws, even a loose molar once. But the triangle felt like a note. I picked it up. It was warm. I don't know why that bothered me more than anything. I texted Wren, quiet, "Weird art project?" and sent a picture. She typed back, "You, throw that out. Also eat." The bell over the door chimed at 1:18. A man stepped in with a toolbox and a high-vis vest that looked too new. The vest said Riverbend Facilities in black heat press letters, the kind people do on the cheap. He had that Midwestern polite face, square jaw, windburned cheeks, cap tugged low. He smiled like he knew me. "Evening," he said. "You the night?" "I'm Boone, maintenance." "Nobody told me anyone was coming," I said. "Dispatch is useless after 5, he said, friendly familiar. "Got a ticket for Narb 14 running hot and your coin op shorting quarters. I can be quick. You want me in and out while it's quiet. My boss always says anybody with a tool bag can talk you into anything, so I practiced my stubborn. You got a work order number?" He rattled something off too fast. I didn't write it down. He had the toolbox open before I could decide. Knee on the floor, wrist deep in the coin machine, humming under his breath. The hum matched the lights. It made my teeth buzz. "By the way," he said without looking up, "appreciate you keeping the late shift. This stretch ain't for everybody." "You from Riverbend?" I asked. Bourne bounced, came back. "Family's out by the old silo. You know it?" "Everyone knows it." "Right," he said, and laughed softly like we were 2 people sharing a memory. He worked quiet. After 5 minutes, he looked up and grinned. "Loose ground. Love an easy one." He set his palm flat on the coin machine, an affectionate tap, and stood. He left no fingerprints. Something about that registered and then went under. His hands were clean in a way that felt intentional. "Dryer 14. I said, "Lead on." He moved like a dad, hands on hips, shoulders rolled, sighing a little when he bent. But when he glanced at the security camera, I saw how fast his eyes were, fast like a squirrel, front yard quick. We passed the folding table by the window. I stopped. Another lint triangle lay there, small and neat. The exact same size as the first. I looked toward Boone. He didn't follow my eyes, which is when I knew he knew I'd seen it. "You good?" he asked. "Uh-huh." He opened number 14, pulled the metal lint drawer, tutted. "You folks got half a felt hat in here," he said. "People don't clean these and then they blame God." He smiled at me again, that useful, empty American smile. "Which company you with?" I asked. "In case Mr. Avery asks." "Independent," he said. "Avery hates paying the city. I bill him direct." He slid the drawer back in and patted the machine like an old horse. "Run safe now," the bell chimed behind us. A kid in a varsity jacket popped his head in, hair wet, asking, "Hey, you still got quarters?" "Cash only," I said. He saw Boone, saw the vest, relaxed a notch. "Aight," he said, and left, leaving the door ajar just long enough to let in a breath of river cold that clung to my ankles. Boone closed his toolbox. "All set," he said. He looked at my tip jar, like a person who knew exactly how many tips had been in it, and then at my hands. "You take care now," he left. The bell chimed. The door shut. I watched his reflection in the window glide past the glass, then vanish like a daydream when you turn your head. I locked the door. I don't scare easy. I grew up above a corner store where people argued about lottery numbers at 2 a.m. Fear is a muscle we use all the time. But something about the lint, that planned smallness, the hum that matched his humming, got under my skin. I set both triangles on the counter and didn't take my eyes off the door for a long time. At 2:03, I rolled the gate halfway down and gave the floor a half-hearted sweep. At 2:10, the radio fizzled into static, then found the same song again like nothing had happened. At 2:20, the overhead vent clicked and the room picked up a metallic tang, like a struck penny. At 2:22, a dryer in the back row, Talker 22, ticked to a stop even though the timer still showed 14 minutes. I walked down the aisle, every sound too clear. My sneakers against tile. A bottle shrinking as it cooled. The whine of the soda machine struggling with its own life choices. I opened Deer 22. The clothes inside were still damp. The lint drawer was jammed, hot to the touch. I tugged with a rag. It slid out slow, full and greasy, and arranged. A triangle sat in the middle like a place setting. Underneath, a thin strip of white fabric lay folded like ribbon. I picked it up. It was elastic, with the kind of tiny plastic teeth you see in baby hats to size them up. I put it down like it had burned me. "Nope," I said out loud to the machines. "Absolutely not." I texted Ren, "Call me now." She did. "You good?" she asked. "Maintenance guy came," I said. "New vest, toolbox, said his name was Boone, fixed the coin box." "Left, I think he left things." "What things?" "Lint triangles, don't laugh." Ren didn't laugh. "Locked the restrooms." "Did you?" "Yeah." "Okay, is he outside?" I moved to the window and leaned past the glare of my own face. The street was rain black. The pawnshop guitar blinked. A stray plastic bag did that sad dance you only see at 2 a.m. "I don't see him." "Okay," Ren said. "Then this is me being bossy. Don't open for anyone. If anyone says dispatch, you say call Avery. You keep your phone on your body. If you feel weird, set off the mop bucket alarm." "Which isn't a thing," I said. "It is now," she said. "You bang that bucket on the tile, you scream, you throw ziti if you have to." We hung up. I breathed. I drank water. I ate 2 forkfuls of cold ziti and 1 pickle spear, which tasted like a dare. At 2:47, the lights flickered. They didn't go out. They just thought about it. When they steadied, something small moved behind the detergent shelf. I heard it, a soft drag like fabric against cardboard. I stepped to the aisle and saw the bare tips of work boots disappear behind the end cap. "Hey," I said stupidly, because saying hey is a reflex. The boots froze. Then a voice, not Boone's polite hum, but a whisper you'd use in a church when you wanted God to hear you but not your neighbor, said, "Counter was locked." Every hair on my arm stood up. I backed up 1 step. "We're closed," I said. The boots didn't move. "I know," the whisper said, almost apologetic. "Just waiting. For what?" My voice did the thing where it split into 2. 1 part calm and customer service, 1 part backing a truck into my chest. He stepped out. Not Boone. Younger by a decade, maybe. Same vest but scuffed, the letters peeling. Dark eyes, long nose, the kind of mouth that smiles too late. He held his hands up, empty. "Didn't mean to spook you." "You did," I said. "My buddy said I could catch a ride here," he said. He said the lady with the keys would be chill. My throat went cold. "What, buddy?" He squinted like I'd shined light in his eyes. "Boone," he said and smiled. When he smiled, he looked like a kid, and that made it worse. You know Boone. He keeps girls safe. I reached under the counter and palmed the whistle we keep for kids who lock themselves in the bathroom. I'd never used it. I put it to my lips and blew. It was ugly. It rattled the window. It made my molars hurt. The whistle didn't sound like a sound so much as a wall. Whoa, the guy said, flinching. Buddy, relax. Out, I said, and pointed at the door with the bat I'd bought at a yard sale because it had a charitable logo on it. Now. He held up his hands higher like he was being arrested by a very small, very pregnant cop. No harm, he said, backing. Boone said you were soft. Out, I said again, and kicked the doorstop with my toe so the hydraulic would yank it wide. He went. He jogged. He ran. The street swallowed him. I shut the door, slid the gate down, clicked the padlock, and leaned my forehead against the cold glass until the humming of the lights fell back into a normal annoyance instead of choir music from an unkind god. At 3:02, the radio cut to a PSA about scam contractors that made me laugh in that highway nobody likes. At 3:10, my phone buzzed. Ren, on my way. Don't yell. I brought pepper spray. At 3:14, somebody knocked. 3 knuckles, light, patient, nope, I said. I stayed exactly where I was and looked at the security monitor. The camera over the door is cheap and the lens always needs cleaning. The picture has the smear of an old dream, but I saw him well enough. Boone. Vest neat. Toolbox in hand. Smile like a volunteer at a church picnic. He looked directly into the camera and mouthed, "Let me in." I shook my head. He mouthed again, exaggerated carefully, "Mallory." My name. Not on a tag. Not on a list. Not offered. He tapped the toolbox with 2 fingers, a little rhythm that matched the coin machine's comfort pad earlier. "Coin jam," he mouthed. "Help!" I held up my phone and typed where he could see "Call Avery." His smile didn't crack. He lifted his free hand and wiggled his fingers in a tiny wave. Then he pointed down, and for the first time I noticed the thing on the mat by his boots. A square of white, with a small gray triangle set perfectly in the middle like a place setting. He left it. He walked away without looking back. I waited. I counted to 60, then 60 again. I ate another cold fork of ziti. I laughed once in the wrong place. I texted Ren, "Don't come to the front. Call me when you park." At 3:26, my phone rang. "Ren, I'm behind the pawn shop." "Okay," I said. We go out the back. Don't talk. Don't make me brave. Just make me fast. We slipped into the alley, the air sliced cold. Ren wore my old hoodie and a look that dared the dark to try her. "Buddy leaves lint," she said, because she can't help herself. "Not funny," I said. "Yeah, it is," she said. Look. On the alley wall at shoulder height, something gray was pressed into the brick mortar. Another triangle, neat as a pinned moth. Ren leaned close. "Glue," she said. "Craft glue." "That's worse," I said. We drove the long way home with the windows cracked so we could smell the river and know where it was. Ren locked herself in my place with me, made tea, set 2 mugs too close to the edge of the counter the way she always does. "You call the cops?" she asked. "I will." I did. They took the report. They promised to swing by. They didn't know Boone. They didn't know the triangles. They told me to be careful, like that was a thing you could buy. At dawn, the spin cycle lights clicked off on their timer. I sat facing my door, listening to the old building breathe, picturing the coin machine's gut, the way Boone's palm flattened like a blessing, the smallness of the triangles and how much work went into making small things that precise. I went back to work that night, because the rent wants what it wants. I took a roll of duct tape and my bat and a Sharpie. I taped a note to the door. No after-hours maintenance. Call Avery. Cameras on. Then I wrote, smaller. If you're nervous, come in. Sit by the counter. Free coffee. I left the note up even when Avery grumbled, because I'd rather be the place that offers a chair than the place that pretends the river never rises. People still come after midnight, the way people do. I still hear laundry thump like a second heart. Sometimes the radio slows like tired tape, and I turn it off and listen to the building instead. I still find lint triangles, not every shift, but enough that I keep a Ziploc of them in the drawer like evidence and a curse. Cops took pictures. They said, which is not a plan. Last week, a girl came in pale under the freckles, varsity jacket too big, eyes too bright. She kept looking at the door. "You good?" I asked. "Uh-huh." I set a mug of coffee by her elbow and said casually, "Guy comes in with a new vest and a toolbox, you tell him to call Avery. You sit by me. We make noise if we have to." She nodded, hungry for rules. Okay, we folded towels. We talked about nothing. When she left, she said, "Thanks, ma'am." And I hated the ma'am and loved the thanks. I want to tell you I trapped Boone with a bucket and a brave plan. I want to say the triangles stopped. They didn't. Sometimes the bell chimes when nobody comes in and a triangle waits where tips should go. Sometimes the camera catches a reflection with a cap pulled low and a smile like a knife turned sideways. But the hum of the lights, it sounds different when there's more than one voice under it. Ren sits with me on Thursdays. Mr. Harlan from the pawn shop leans his bat by my counter and pretends he's doing inventory when I'm alone. The varsity girl brings her friend now. They sit, they text, they roll their eyes at the dryer that always eats socks, and they look up when the bell chimes. I keep the door locked after 1. I buzz folks in. I say people's names so the room knows them. Boone will try the door again. He will smile. He will leave small, neat notes because he thinks smallness is how you make a person fit your pocket. I can't stop all that. But the first time I blow the whistle now, 3 other whistles answer from up and down the block, and that's a sound even polite men don't like. Tonight, the river is loud. The neon guitar blinks steady for once. I tuck the lint bag deeper in the drawer and stack quarters like armor. When the bell rings, I look up with my hand already on the buzzer, and I let the right ones in. If fear wants to hum, fine. I hum back. I'm learning the song. And that's how the whole block came together to stop her. Real evil doesn't always hide in the dark. Sometimes it smiles right at you. Ready for the next one? Because this next story proves that even a simple laundromat at 2 a.m. can become a hunting ground. This one is called Pregnant Woman and Creepy Old Lady. I told Aunt Deb I'd be 15 minutes, 20 tops. She was on the couch under a crocheted blanket, fever shiny on her forehead, hair tied back with one of those stretched-out scrunchies that loses the will to live halfway through the day. The space heater ticked like a metronome. Our rental smelled like lemon cleaner, menthol rub, and radiator dust. "Leave it, Len," she said, using the nickname she gave me when I moved in. "I can skip ginger ale. You want anything besides ginger?" I asked, balancing my belly as I pulled on boots. 7 months. My center of gravity had moved to a different zip code. Crackers. Blue Gatorade. "And text me when you get there," she said, raising a finger like a hall monitor. "Don't be stubborn." "I'm not," I said, lying the way you lie to the only person who ever shows up with soup and tough love. "Be right back." Outside, Maple Falls held that late winter quiet where the sky is a solid lid, and your breath looks like you're smoking out a ghost. I eased into Deb's dented Corolla, clicked the belt under my belly like the nurse taught, and drove 3 blocks to the Value Mart, the discount place with the buzzing sign and flickery fluorescent tubes that hum like tired bees. One of the parking lot lights blinked on a loop. Bright, dim, out, bright. You could time your heartbeat to it if you weren't careful. Inside was warm and smelled like bleach, plastic, stale candy. A radio and electronics played old slow jams. The teen at the register looked half asleep over a Sudoku book. "You good?" he mumbled when the door chime gave that sad ding. I held up a hand. I grabbed a cart, the wheel with the wobble, of course, and went hunting for ginger snaps, saltines, Gatorade. The good brand of tea, ginger lemon, sat on the top shelf like a dare. I rocked onto my toes, felt that tight little lightning pain across my belly, and backed off. "Let me," a woman said, soft, close. I turned. She was smallish, compact, quilted coat buttoned to the throat, knit cap pulled low, face like paper that's been folded and smoothed flat. Her smile was generous and careful, the way folks smile at babies or cops. Her eyes didn't sit still. They pinged. Exit, camera, me, aisle, mirror, me. "Tea?" she said. She stepped up on the bottom shelf like it was her porch step, plucked 2 boxes easy and set them in my cart. "One for now, one for later. Nights get long. That's kind." "Thank you," I said. She brushed my sleeve with just her fingertips, light as a test. The touch crawled. "How far are you, sweetheart?" she asked. 7 months. I shifted the cart to break the static. "My aunt's sick. Just grabbing a few things." "Doctor local?" she asked, eyes still scanning. "County clinic." I kept my answers short. Small talk had gone past the line where you owe anybody anything. She nodded like she was checking boxes on a form only she could see. "What's your name?" "Lena," I said before my brain could stop my mouth. "Dumb. Pretty," she said. "I'm Beatrice, but folks call me B." The name fit strange, like it hadn't been used recently. "If you were mine, I'd have you feet up and broth simmering, lavender on your pillow." "People are careless with girls." "I'm good," I said. "It's 3 blocks." 3 blocks is plenty," she said, almost to herself. She rolled her empty cart alongside mine like we were shopping together. "Where's your husband, Lena?" "I don't have one." I put crackers in the cart like I was building a wall. "What about the baby's father?" she asked, head tilt like a curious sparrow. "He's not in the picture." My chest tightened. Deb always said, "You don't owe strangers your biography." B clucked her tongue. Men." Her eyes hooked back to me. "I've got a place out by the highway. Clean, quiet, we help girls. We have quilts." The way she said quilts made it sound like a promise and a trap. "We could go now," I drove. "We'd be back before your aunt wakes." "I'm not going anywhere with you," I said it calmly. My heart had started its own percussion section. "I have my aunt. You think she can keep up?" The smile wobbled. "She's already fevered. You don't know what's coming. Please move your cart." It came out flat. That surprised me. I expected a stammer. Her smile drained off her face like somebody pulled the plug. She looked at my belly, then at my eyes, and something behind hers went gray, not dead, grayer than polite. Then the smile came back like a performer hitting her mark. "Suit yourself," she said, and eased her cart half an inch so I could angle past. "If you change your mind, ask for B. Everybody knows me." I did the rest on autopilot, Gatorade. Pickles because my body had turned into an 80-year-old pregnant raccoon. A cheap candle because Deb says you light one when the house feels odd. Checkout beeped. Receipt printer struggled. The cashier asked if I wanted help out, and for once I said yes. Outside, cold air slapped my cheeks clean. The parking lot was mostly empty. A white work van with the company logo scratched off, a couple sedans, the Corolla under that stuttering light. The kid loaded the trunk, nodded, jogged back in, door chime dinging. Then my bladder made a decision for my whole body. "Damn it," I whispered. Going back in meant passing aisles I didn't want to pass. The exterior restroom sat at the far corner of the building. 3 doors, flaking paint, a dark smear where a hand always lands. I texted Deb. "Quick bathroom." "Don't freak." She sent back, "Be fast." And then, "I love you, dummy." The women's room smelled like bleach trying to drown something older. I locked the first stall and sat. The cheap plastic seat clicked. I concentrated on breathing and not listening. Feet thudded in the pipes. Somewhere a fan groaned like it was remembering how to spin. The door creaked slow and footsteps padded in. 1, 2. Stop. Silence did that thing where it fills a room like floodwater. My eyes stayed glued to the stall door. The breath that wasn't mine slid into the space above me. Wet, sweetish like someone had sucked hard candy too long. I looked up. She was standing on the toilet in the next stall, hands curled over the divider, face tilted down. From below I could see up her nose a little. The knot of scarf at her throat. The smooth, unblinking coin of each eye. Up close, the knit cap edge had a tiny crosshatch pattern like fence wire done in yarn. "I told you," she whispered, and her voice had chipped paint in it. "We help girls like you." "Get out," I said. My mouth was paper dry. "I'll call security." "You can keep your little security," she said. "I don't want your money, sugar. What do you—" I started stupidly because my brain wanted there to be a right answer. Her gaze slid down toward my belly. "I want what you can't keep safe," she said, not cruel, like she was correcting my math. She reached. It wasn't fast. It was patient, like the outcome had already been ordered. My body didn't ask permission. I slammed the stall door open so hard it bit the tile. Yanked my jeans with one hand, didn't bother with the button. Ran. The bathroom door banged my shoulder on the way out. Cold hit me like a slap. My keys were already in my palm. I didn't remember getting them out. I stumbled for the Corolla. Behind me, her voice brightened, sing-song wrong. "Careful, honey. You'll slip." I slid into the driver's seat, slammed the door. Her hand got there at the same time. The edge of the door caught bone. The sound was a wet stick cracking. She screamed a sound that had more surprise than pain in it. I hit lock, hit ignition. In the headlight wash, she crouched, coat humped, one wrist folded to her chest like a broken bird. and stared at me with a face that hadn't decided whether to cry or laugh. Her mouth shaped words slow, careful like teaching a child to read. Not the end. I drove home on muscle memory and prayer. The world got smeary. The blinking lot light, a green traffic signal, a bus sigh, a siren a dozen blocks over that didn't belong to me. The porch light Deb leaves on burned like a belief. Inside I became noise. Keys clacking on the table, groceries thunking, my voice coming out wrong. Deb sat up too quick and then held still, arms up like she was catching me from far away. "What?" she asked, steady. "Say it slow." I said it slow, hands shaking as if someone else had borrowed them. She called the non-emergency number because she knows the difference between panic and paperwork. The cop came. He had a notebook and the soft voice men use when they're trying to keep you from shattering. He wrote attempted abduction, which looked ridiculous in his tidy block letters like a kid had labeled a drawing of a storm cloud. He said he'd talked to the manager. He said cameras were spotty. He said a lot of things that sounded like stairs he didn't intend to climb. I slept on the couch with the bat my cousin left behind and the porch light burning, so hard moths came to throw themselves at it. The radiator clicked like someone tapping a pencil in another room. Every time a car idled out front, my heart did the math. At 3:11 a.m., I woke to the certainty somebody was on the porch. Nobody was. The porch light hummed. I ate a ginger snap at 4 and my hands finally stopped shaking around 5. 2 days later, the local news pushed a blue banner to my phone. Expectant mother missing after late-night store trip. Her photo looked like a DMV picture taken on a good day. Denim jacket, easy smile that didn't know what was coming. Last seen at our Value Mart. Comments did what comments do. Where was the father? Prayers. City's getting worse. I closed the app, set the phone face down, and watched the candle Deb had me light make the living room look like a softer version of itself. We adjusted. Strategy, Deb called it. Daylight runs only. Asked the clerk to walk me out. Keep the whistle on the key ring. This ain't weakness, she told me, flipping a grilled cheese in a pan. It's how women kept each other alive before folks pretended locks were magic. By Friday, cabin fever outweighed fear. I went back to Value Mart at noon, sun pale and honest on salt-streaked asphalt. The teen with the Sudoku nodded like we were characters in the same small story. I did a fast loop. Crackers, soap, prenatal vitamins, the weird popsicles Deb swears help fever. For a minute, it was like all the bad had been a thing that happened to other people. I let my shoulders drop away from my ears. At the register, the cashier said, "You want your receipt, ma'am?" Like normal, I nodded. Someone rolled up behind me with a basket I didn't look at. "Find everything okay?" the cashier asked them. "Yes," a woman's voice said. Not B, younger. The same careful sweetness poured over gravel. I looked, quilted coat. Knit cap with the fence wire pattern. New face, same eyes. She held a basket with nothing in it and smiled like we had a plan together. "Hi, Lena," she said, casual. "I'm Joy." The name slid under my skin like a splinter. "Do I know you?" I asked, even though it didn't matter. "You know my aunt," she said, touching her cap brim with 2 fingers like a pledge. "B's home with a cold. We trade off. We keep girls from falling through." The fluorescent above the register hummed louder for a beat and then settled. The radio skipped a word and pretended it hadn't. The cashier bagged slow, eyes flicking between us like a kid at a tennis match he didn't understand. "We're fine," I said, taking my bag. I kept my voice low, steady. "Please don't talk to me." Joy's smile held. "Your aunt is tired," she said. "You look tired." Out by the county line, we have quiet. No men yelling at night. Women who listen. She made the word women sound like a brand. "Kev," I said to the cashier, reading his name tag for the first time. "Could you walk me out?" "Yeah," he said immediately, no questions. He came around the counter like a bodyguard in a movie we couldn't afford. Joy's smile thinned by 0.5 millimeter. We stepped into daylight that had turned thin and silver. Kev loaded the trunk. He watched me get in, waited until I pulled the door closed, gave a small nod that said, "I see you," and went back inside. As I turned the key, I watched the glass. Joy stood by the cart corral, basket still empty, hands in pockets. She didn't come closer. She just watched. Watching like a job. I drove home a different way, circling through streets with front porches and old dogs and my neighbor Mr. Bell washing his sidewalk like it owed him rent. Deb made a face at the popsicles and ate one anyway. "You doing okay?" she asked. I'm mad, I said, and tired of being scared. Both can be true, she said. She touched my cheek, same spot B had touched, but this was a hand I recognized. We'll do what we need. We don't make ourselves smaller. We make our circle louder. Sunday night, the church held a vigil for the missing woman. Tea lights in plastic cups flickered like stars that had fallen and given up negotiating. The pastor said words about community and vigilance that I couldn't hold in my head. A woman from 2 blocks over pressed a card into my hand. Call if you ever feel weird, it said in green pen with a number and a heart. I put it in my phone under come. I added Deb. I added Mr. Bell, the sidewalk washer. Then I texted myself. If you ever need, say just come. 2 mornings later, a white business card waited under our doormat like a gift nobody wanted. No words, just the black crosshatch pattern from the caps printed clean like a logo. I burned it in a pie tin in the sink and turned the fan on high. The smoke smelled like sugar, pretending not to be burning. Deb made a satisfied noise. Some folks only understand fire, she said. You want an arrest, a news crawl, a mugshot? I did too. Life shrugged. The cops called once to say they'd increased patrol. They did drive by twice the next day. Mostly the street went back to being a street. Kids hollering, the bus sighing, the river 2 neighborhoods over making its low winter shush. I still saw quilted coats sometimes at the edges of crowds. I started noticing empty baskets. I started asking cashiers to walk me out without apologizing. Deb added a whistle to my keys and made me practice blowing it until she was satisfied I could peel paint with the sound. On a Tuesday at 9:08 p.m., just as I was deciding if I could sleep with the porch light off like a normal person, a fingernail ran down the glass of our front window, polite as a knuckle on a church door. Once, twice. I froze. Deb called, "You good?" From her room. I couldn't answer for a second. I slid 2 fingers under the curtain edge. A face didn't flash into view. A hand did, gloved, holding up a white card to the glass, the crosshatch pattern. The hand turned it slow like a magician showing the deck is clean. Then it lowered. The doorknob tried left, then right. The chain held. A voice came through the door, gentle as a TV doctor. "Tease on, sweetheart. Don't make us knock the neighbors." My phone was already in my hand. I typed 1 word to the 3 names under come. Deb's door opened. "We doing noise?" she asked, already tying her robe. "We are," I said, and put the whistle to my mouth and blew a sound so ugly it felt like a weapon. It ricocheted down the block like a dare. Deb added her own shriller. Mr. Bell's porch light snapped on. He came out with his broom like it owed him violence. Across the street, the twins' mom turned on 3 lamps and hollered, "You okay?" A car idled and cut. Footsteps softened and left. A dark sedan rolled past the stop sign like it was nervous about being seen doing something illegal. By the time 2 cops ambled up, we'd put the chair under the knob and the whistle back on the hook. They took our story. They looked at the pie tin with crosshatch ash. They said they'd let units know. They left with the professional tiredness of men who had too many nights like this and not enough endings. We didn't get ours either. Not really. But we got something. Deb started a group text for our side of the block. Rule: if anyone dropped the word green, porch lights on, eyes out, no questions. Mr. Bell drilled a noisemaker to his railing that sounds like a vuvuzela learned to cuss. The cashier at ValueMart started walking folks out as a matter of policy. I wrote a sign for our front door that said no after dark visits. If you need us, call. It helped me to see it there, a boundary with tape on it. When the baby kicked after that, I pressed my hand there and spoke out loud like a crazy person to a person who could hear me now. We don't go, I said. We don't get in strangers' cars. We don't let kindness be a trapdoor. Fear still hums sometimes. Late means certain it knows my softest places. When it does, I turn on the porch light and listen to it buzz like a small, stubborn hymn. I make tea in the chipped mug Deb likes. I stand at the window without flinching when headlights sweep the wall. If a quilted coat floats at the edge of a parking lot crowd, I don't shrink. I wave the cashier over and say, "Walk me out," like it's the weather. You want a monster to be a monster you can stab. You want claws. What we get most days are hands holding empty baskets and voices that sound like help. I keep the whistle in my pocket and the word "come" ready to send. I keep a bat by the door and my neighbors in my phone. We practice the choreography so we don't forget it at the worst time. When I fall asleep now, it's with the porch light on and the bats of my block in their ridiculous hands, and Deb breathing soft like a tide in the next room. If fear wants to stand at the edge of the yard and mouth not the end, okay, I'll mouth something back. Go home. And that's how the whole block came together to stop her. Real evil doesn't always hide in the dark. Sometimes it smiles right at you. Ready for the next one? Because this next story proves that even a simple laundromat at 2 a.m. can become a hunting ground. This one is called